Hello, Good Government Radio listeners. Welcome to the very first episode of what I hope becomes a regular dose of heart, humor, and hometown pride. I'm your host, Andy Acebo, the interim president of New Jersey City University, a proud son of Hudson County. And if we're keeping it all the way real, still a little surprised they gave me a mic and a university. Now, listen, this show isn't about being polished. It's not about sound bites or rehearsed speeches. That's not what this community needs, and it's not what it's built around, and it's definitely not how we got here. This is about keeping it real, honest, grounded, just like the streets we walked growing up, just like the families who built the cities that make up this community before there were hashtags and ribbon cuttings. I'm talking to the folks who know what it means to stretch a dollar, carry a dream, and still show up with pride and purpose. The students who hustle between class and work and caregiving. The parents who sacrificed everything so their children, their kids, could earn a degree. The educators who pour their souls into a system that doesn't always pour back. I see you, I am you, and this show, it's for us. So when we meet, we're going to tell stories, not just about NJCU, but through NJCU. Because this isn't just a place, it's not just a school, it's a reflection of a community that knows what it means to struggle and to rise. It's the auntie who made sure you had a ride to your SATs. It's the tia who told you your voice mattered. It's the janitor who knew your name when no one else did. It's late night study sessions, broken vending machines, and the smell of empanadas from down the block. And yes, we're going to laugh. We're going to talk about what makes this place magical, messy, and meaningful. We'll talk leadership, but not the kind that hides behind big titles or corner offices, the kind that gets its hands dirty, that listens before it speaks, that knows leading is just a fancy way of serving. We'll celebrate wins, confront tough truths, highlight voices that need to be heard. And maybe, just maybe, we'll remind ourselves that the most powerful institutions aren't made of marble and ivory, but of people. People like you, people like me. So whether you're a current Gothic Knight, an alum, a neighbor, or just someone who stumbled across this show looking for something real, I'm glad you're here. Pull up a seat. Mi casa, su casa. This mic, it's for the community. And trust me, we've got a lot to say. So for our very first show, I've got my dear colleague, Dr. Cynthia Diaz, a daughter of Hudson County, who oversees our development and alumni relations. Welcome aboard, Cynthia. So let's get into it. So a lot of the focus of our community and of the work that we do at NJCU is around really centering the stories of the people we're privileged to serve. First generation, working class students who are coming to our campus to pursue something incredibly noble, the chance at a better life. So why don't we get into it, Cynthia? Let's talk a little bit about our shared upbringing and ties to this very community.
Yes, so I actually was born in Peru, but when we immigrated here, we came straight to West New York. So I grew up in
Okay.
West New York, went to Memorial High School, go Tigers.
We won't hold that against you.
I ran track there, and it was just such a great community to be in. You know, everyone looked like me, everyone spoke like me, so it was a really great community to just feel at home, even though I wasn't in my country.
Sure. No, that I resonate that so deeply, as do so many of our very own students. I'm a proud product also of Hudson County Public Schools, born in St. Mary's Hospital in Hoboken, attended Union City Public Schools, graduated from Union Hills, so go Hillers. The now defunct Hillers, right? Somehow became, Bulldogs and Hillers became Soaring Eagles. I'll figure that out someday. But like you, right, a community of first generation, hardworking parents who met in Miami, stereotypically, I guess, for Cubans, who economic opportunities brought them to North Jersey, and just the rest is history.
I mean, my parents met in Peru while they were in high school, actually.
Wow,
So it was cute that my dad came first, and then he saved up money, and then ended up bringing us and my mom. I was the first one to come, which was a crazy story, but
beautiful. So can we dive into that a little?
sure, yeah. I mean, it was a journey. So in the past, obviously, it was different. So
Sure.
I came here first. I was only 4 years old, so it was scary. I did the trip on my own.
Wow.
So it's something I'll always remember, but it's also like my journey that put me where I am now, right?
Sure.
My sister came after, and since my dad came first, I really didn't recognize him when I first saw him. So I always say that story, right? Because it was hard not, my sister kept hitting me like, stop crying, that's your dad. but I couldn't remember him because I was only 4 and he had left 2 years. So I was 2 when he left, so I didn't recognize him. So that was interesting, but I think about it now, and I had to go through that to understand how big of a struggle my parents had to go through to bring us here so we could have a better life. We come from a very poor place in Peru, and there's a lot of crime. So, of course, they wanted to take us out and give us the opportunity.
Beautiful. It's a story that I think crosses generational boundaries. I talk about this often, right? Like, my dad is one of my biggest heroes, and I think for me, that story resonates, right? Because, like, again, despite the generational divide, last summer was marked 60 years since my dad's been in this country, when he escaped communism in Cuba, literally on a raft by himself, with nothing but the clothes on his back, a nautical compass that I actually still have and proudly display in my office. So that story, it's one that, like, whether you're a child of the 80s or much older like my dad, it's a story that still finds commonplace on campuses like ours, where folks were dreamers before the term was coined, right? Of pursuing and building community along the way, of building themselves up.
Yeah, I hear stories from a lot of our students all the time, and they're going through the same things, right? And like, it's such a different era, such a different time, but these stories still exist, and they still need those different resources. Like, I needed way different resources than another student would because of the way I grew up and where I'm coming from, right? Like, Spanish was my first language, so it was difficult to learn English, and I used to cry. My mom used to make fun of me. But I used to cry every day going to school because I used to tell her I just don't understand, so I would get frustrated. So, of course, like, we just needed different, we faced different obstacles. So I think that's why NJCU, for me, as a double alum, because I went there, and I always joke that I never left, right? Because now I'm a full-time employee.
Yeah, right.
And it's been 15 years, but I've been there since a freshman. So
Right.
I never left, and I didn't leave because I'm those students, and I want to be an example for them. So, like, when they see me, it's like, well, she could do it. Like, she did it, I can do it, right? Because I didn't have that growing up all the time.
Right. And look at you now, Dr. Cynthia Diaz.
Yes.
Hard-earned distinction. But to your point, right, I think that's what makes our community so vibrant, right? And it invites challenges, right? We don't always get our fair share. You got to almost prove your worth double time. But that grit and that tenacity and that perseverance that is kind of the hallmark of a Hudson County upbringing finds kind of an academic playing ground on our campus, where notwithstanding how long you've been in this country, what zip code you come from, whether you went, what was the makeup of your public school education, what your parents do for a living, you get an opportunity to pursue a chance at a better life, and economic and social mobility on a campus like ours that doesn't just say that we meet you where you are, we literally are where you are. I tell folks, like, what I think makes our institution so unique is that it stands for something quite remarkable in higher education, right? Which is, we don't tell students that you have to change your zip code to find your promise, right? You can remain rooted in your community and build yourself up there.
Right.
And that is something incredibly novel, right? Like, and especially like when you're first generation, like, the idea of success is so often marked by how much distance you create from where you started. And I gotta say, notwithstanding my personal pursuits and professional, true success has always somehow been found when I've come back home.
Exactly, yeah. And NJCU, I remember in high school, like, everyone spoke about it, right? It was home. It was part of the community. Like, it was something that everyone was like, oh, well, I'm going to go to college to NJCU. Because a lot of us also want to stay close to our parents, right? Like, for me, it was like, I want to support my parents. I want to be there for them and make sure that they have everything they need.
Absolutely. Again, something that is very commonplace on our community. Again, it's the things that you can't teach from a textbook, right? No shade to our faculty, right? Like, lived experience carries a premium. And when you can couple that lived experience with critical higher learning, you're an incredibly formidable workforce. And so we're approaching our first commercial break. We'll continue this conversation after some of the ads.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its 2 newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
And we're back. Caught me sleeping for a second. Cynthia, right before the commercial break, we were talking about, the accessibility of our institution, right? And what drew you. I will say it's what drew so many of my classmates. It drew my wife. It drew my mother-in-law. Back in the day when it was Jersey City State College, as a single mother, working multiple jobs to provide for herself and her two daughters. My wife would come with her as a toddler to class in the evenings. As my wife will remind me, like, this presidency's proven that it was harder for me to get admitted to NJCU than it was for her. But all that work, right, is something that is at the cornerstone of what we do and what we've poured so much of ourselves over the last 2.5 years to revitalize. One of the first things we did was refresh our institutional mission statement of saying we're going to unapologetically define who this institution belongs to. And it belongs to every son and daughter of this community that champions their dreams and their aspirations. And you're not just an exemplar of that story, but you're also on the front lines making accessibility mean something. So while a lot of institutions tout about their incoming GPAs and the like, we focus a lot, again, on meeting our students where they are, about being unapologetically accessible. And you speak to this. A lot of the work we've done and that your team helps lead is about making it not just accessible, but affordable. So
Right.
Can you speak to that?
Yes, of course. So I actually did choose NJCU because it was the most affordable option, right? I didn't have the opportunity to dorm, right? That wasn't like even a reality for me since I grew up in this area. And my parents didn't have the money. I didn't want to be in debt, and I didn't want to put them in debt by dorming in a university somewhere else. So I chose NJCU because it's affordability. And now I actually have the chance to help other students, right? Because I do work in the foundation, and one of our biggest goals and priorities is scholarships. So, like, how do we find scholarships that are going to help our students be able to continue their studies? So, unfortunately, because of all the different obstacles that our students face, sometimes they need financial help because they have to either, work at night to like help their family, right? And that money has to go to rent. It can't go towards their tuition. So we have different obstacles in the way, but we make sure that through scholarships, we're able to kind of, like remove that load off their back so that they could study. Like you can't expect a student to like focus on their studies when all they're thinking about is like, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to get the next paycheck to like,
Or I'm going to eat, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, like we talk about this, like, it's hard to feed a mind when you have a starved stomach.
Exactly.
So a lot of the work that we're pushing right now also, we boast and perhaps don't boast enough in our own community about what a hidden gem New Jersey City University has been. So one of the primary things that we offer right now is that we are unapologetically the most affordable public university in the state of New Jersey, bar none. Because we've got that Hudson County grid and skepticism in us, we make sure that the sticker price is the price, right? There's no hidden fees. We're the only public university, the only institution, to my knowledge, in the state of New Jersey that includes the cost of textbooks in our tuition.
Right. And textbooks was a big deal when we were growing up. Like
Right.
when I was in college, it was like $500 that you had to come out every
Right.
semester. And it was a big deal.
Right. And so, like, bridging those realities is incredible about being a really student-focused, community-anchored institution of higher education. And so, and that's the uniqueness of what we've, I think, been able to manage to kind of transform and reform over the last 2 years, is that a lot of these things seem, in theory, complicated, but it's not once you actually care to figure
Right.
out how to do it, right? Like
Exactly.
and I think being a product of this community kind of enhances that profile. I mean, so much of our staff, so many of our staff, so many of our legacy staff are products of this institution. While I'm not an alum, right? Like I was inextricably influenced by this alumni base. Every single public school teacher that I had growing up was a Jersey City State grad, right? Like again, I say like my connection to the alumni base is so close that I married one, right? Like,
Yeah.
so those connections, those relationships are so instrumental in defining what this community-centered, community-anchored institution of higher education strives to be. And again, it's about meeting our population where it is without creating needless roadblocks. I mean, the affordability thing that so many folks don't even factor in is your time to completion, right? Academic journeys are not linear, right? So there's a lot of institutions that boast about their 4-year graduation rates. That's a dated data point that is somewhat insincere, right, and disingenuous when folks publicize it, because what that really does is that it tracks your first-time, full-time freshman population. On our campus, because life disproportionately happens in our community, academic journeys are not linear. Some folks take 5, 6, 7 years to pursue and earn their bachelor's degrees, not because of lack of ability, not because of lack of intellect or talent, but because life disproportionately happens. When you've got to balance 2 jobs to help take care of your siblings or aging parents, or when you're on your own, finding yourself emancipated because of financial constraints of a family, it's like you proceed and you pursue your education on a different trend line.
Especially our transfer students, right? I
Right.
feel like our community wants to start at a community college, right? It's more affordable, and then they want to transfer to get their degree, right? And we have such good programs that like
Without a doubt.
they're just streamlined. Like
Yeah.
it's so easy, right? The transition is so easy for them and it makes sense. So in the foundation, we have made that transition too, right? So like focus on helping these students because they might have taken 3 years in community college, right? So they don't have enough Pell or tag when they come to get their bachelor's. So understanding that maybe that last year they're going to have a financial gap and we
Right.
should be ready for it.
Right.
Like how can we help you? And you know, so they're able to graduate and not have that roadblock.
Absolutely. And just to explain to our listeners, Pell and TAG are the state and federal aid, financial aid awards that students, so many in our community are eligible for, and sometimes don't even realize they are. But Cynthia touched upon something else that we do at NJCU that is quite unique. It's like a lot of our fundraising is about student emergencies, and when they happen, right? A lot of colleges and universities will give you a financial aid package upon admission as a first-time student at that institution, and that doesn't mean that that's the award package you're going to have for all 4 or 5 years. So we understand that people's lives evolve. Sometimes, again, life disproportionately happens, or life throws curveballs at you. And so, what do? We introduced the concept of intensifying our student retention aid, right? So, what happens if a student has a housing emergency, right, where they find themselves displaced? Well, we go and work with the foundation and the university and find ways to give you housing hardship scholarships, right?
Yeah, that was one of our best initiatives. To me, it was one of my favorite just because we were able to pivot, right? COVID-19 hit. We saw that there was a lot of emergencies, but that didn't go away. And it
Right.
was always there. So now it's one of our biggest priorities too. Like, how do we have the support for students who face unexpected situations? Like someone in their family passed away, right? In another country. Like, how can we support our students? A house fire or they just can't get a meal, right? We have the food pantry at NJCU, which is amazing, but also some of these students really need, you know, a cash in hand to just be able to go to the supermarket and get essentials for them in order to be successful in their classes. So we want to meet them there and understanding that it's not just tuition and fees. Like we're all humans, we're all going through things in life.
Right. And how do you argue that higher education is so critically important and that public institutions have public purpose if you don't meet the public where it is? So we'll continue this conversation after this commercial break. A lot more to tackle.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
And we're back. So, Cynthia, let's continue this conversation because I think it's so important for our community, right? For so many, NJCU, almost 100 years old, right? On the west side of Jersey City, expansive School of Business, right, in downtown by Harborside over in the gaze of the Freedom Tower and Lady Liberty. But it's more than brick and mortar, right? It's again, we talked a lot about over the course of this show about accessibility. But we truly are the most accessible institution of public higher education in the state of New Jersey. I mean, let's talk about it. Like students, those of you, whether you're seeking to transfer or you're a first-time student in higher education, we have an incredibly flexible academic calendar and schedule. You don't have to wait fall to fall to be able to matriculate and find yourself enrolled on our campus. If your timeline means that you're graduating this June and life is happening and you got to figure things out and you're not ready to start in September, well, join us in January, right? Or join us for winter session or summer sessions. Start off as a part-time student on our campus. Maybe your preferred course of action is that you begin at Hudson Community College. One of the things that I'm particularly proud that our administration at NJCU has developed is that we've put a big premium on transfer initiatives. So one, because we're here in Hudson County, we're gonna shout this out. We've done incredible work with our partners, our sister institution at Hudson Community College, when we launched about a year ago the Hudson NJCU Connect program. What makes this program so unique is that it creates a seamless pathway to transfer to New Jersey City University without losing a single credit that you earned through a lot of hard work and cost at Hudson Community College. So you're guaranteed a pathway to transfer with advanced standing to New Jersey City University, carrying all 60 credits that you earned at Hudson with a timely completion. And not only are we guaranteeing you credit transfer, we've also eliminated burdens that a lot of institutions of higher education continue to adhere to and kind of prop up, I think, unfortunately, which is excess credit accumulation, right? We eliminated at NJCU this idea of non-credit developmental coursework. So we admit you and tell you, you need some work, right? Your math proficiencies and English proficiencies aren't great. You got to pay for this class and you get 0 credit for it. That's nonsense.
Right.
If we're admitting you, it's because we see potential and promise, and we're meeting you where you are. You bring talent. The other things that we've done is really leaning into the diversity of our community, where 40% of Hudson County residents were born in another country. That is a marker of distinction. So what did we do? How do we leverage that? Well, we take our students, we provide them with an opportunity to take something called a TOEFL exam that is offered in 120 distinct languages. And all you have to prove, right, through that couple of hours of an examination, I think the exam costs you maybe $100, is demonstrate a basic proficiency in the language, whether it's Spanish or Arabic or Farsi or Chinese or what have you.
I mean, I actually took the Spanish one and passed it.
There you go. And then this is the kicker for our prospective students and even current students who may be listening and their families. You're guaranteed upon passage of that exam 12 college credits, right, for $100. And just to put that into perspective, 12 credits per semester makes you a full-time student on any college campus. So that would be the equivalent of paying at NJCU about $6,500 for that semester. And you can get 12 credits for $100 at NJCU. So that's huge.
Right.
Uh,
Well, I mean, going back to what you were talking about with accessibility, right? So, funny story. When I went to NJCU, right, I never did the whole make your college decision thing. I was at Memorial. I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm going to go to the military. And my mom's like, no, you're not. So I wasn't allowed to go, but that's what I wanted to do. But then my sister one day in July was like, hey, we're going to this instant decision day at NJCU. And I said, well, why? It's summer. Like, and she's like, no, like, you're not going to let our parents' sacrifice go to waste. Like, you're going to college. And I was like, okay. So we went, and funny enough, our colleague, Jose Balda, he's the AVP of Enrollment Management now, but he actually was the counselor that admitted me that same day.
Shout out to Jose
So,
Balda.
yeah, I just sat there with him, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh, you're admitted. Like, now let me walk you over to financial aid. Let me help you. And me as a, 18-year-old, I'm like, wait, but this is my only summer after high school. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then it's because I did a summer bridge program. So
There you
when I
go.
heard you talking about the remedial courses,
Yeah.
I was actually accepted into the summer bridge program, and I had to do it for a month before classes started, and I was not happy about it.
Sure.
But now when I look back, it's, it made me pass English and math, and I didn't have to take remedial in the fall.
Right.
And it was a free program,
Right.
which is amazing. And then, I saved money, and I also made friends. So
Right.
I wasn't scared to go on campus in the fall and not know anyone.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's special about NJCU. Like, it makes you feel comfortable because you're at home and you feel at home. And the faculty, the staff, they're all there to help. And even though I didn't know a lot about college, right? My parents didn't go to college. They couldn't help me with a FAFSA. I had people there that would actually sit down with me and explain it, right? FAFSA, I think, is the worst application.
Oh, yeah.
It's tons of pages. I still have a hard time with the FAFSA and helping students, right? Because it's a difficult thing, but there's people there that actually cared.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, again, shout out to Jose Balda. That man bleeds green and gold at NJCU. He's also an alum, also a Hudson County native. Grew up in Union City, attended Emerson High School. So he's an Emerson Bulldog. Again, we won't hold that against him either.
He's also a lifer, so we like
He
to
is a
joke
lifer.
that at NJCU, like me, going to school there and then getting hired full time. So we always joke, we're like, oh, we're all lifers here.
But I want to point that out. I mean, I think that that's a point of distinction. You go to a bigger school, you go to some of the institutions across our state, all of which are doing remarkable things. And, in the ecosystem of public higher education thrives if there's competition and strength. But the things that get overstated sometimes is that you go on another campus and you look to your left and to your right, it might not be someone that can resonate with your lived experience. Right, and on our
Right.
campus, you don't have to second guess your worth or whether you belong because you're in a community that knows that you belong.
Right.
Because this is your community.
Exactly. Yeah. And we make it a point, right? Like for me, it's always been to make it a point that to show myself to students, right? To be like, I'm here, ask me questions. And I ask them questions because I remember being scared, right? I remember that fear of even the fear of success, just having that fear of can I actually do it, right?
Right.
And am I actually enough? And I think that they need people like us, like me and you there that have those stories to share with them and say you could do it. And we're here to help you do it. Because that fear sometimes gets in the way for so many students. I wanted to give up sometimes.
Sure.
And it's if I didn't have those mentors, I would have.
And let's keep it real, right? When you're first generation, that fear never goes away. You just manage it differently.
Yeah.
Right? So I set foot on our campus all the time, and recognizing the privilege that I have to walk on it, and recognizing that sometimes it's some people's frustrations, right? Again, so much vibrancy, so much beauty on our campus because of the people that crisscross it. Great things, I think, are still in the horizon for us. We're going to hit another commercial break and then start talking a little bit more about the innovation that we're driving on our campus for its future.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
And we're back. So Cynthia, so much of what we've talked about, right, is about the grit and the tenacity of our students and our faculty and our staff, most of whom have deep ties to the community that they're now privileged to serve, us included. But a lot of the work we've done over the last 2 years has been about reimagining this place in a way that speaks to the purpose and the trust that for almost a century has been given to it. And again, we talked about our refresh of our mission statement, our values proposition, really naming, again, unapologetically who we serve, first generation working class kids, adult learners, right? Making accessibility actually mean something because of our fixed tuition costs, including the cost of textbooks and resources in that cost, our efforts to reform our distribution of aid, right? And leveraging our foundation ties to put a premium on rewarding students for their retention. And at the same time, recognizing that there's going to be hardships that are unpredictable on an individual level, but not unpredictable under the lived experiences of our community. So being palatable about it. But so much of the work also that we've done has been about having strategic foresight, about knowing that higher education needs to evolve and needs to change. The value proposition is incredibly costly. Again, the cost of attendance isn't limited to setting foot on our campus, right? Like you got to pay, you have increasing grocery costs. It's Hudson County, so I'll get slightly political. There's tariffs now, right? Like that'll make everything more expensive. So being really responsive to our population means like recognizing that we might not be able to do everything on our own. So how do we become a publicly driven institution? And the way we do that is by being a magnet for resources. So one example is that we've had a storied athletic program at New Jersey City University, like of legacy, of the likes of our very own nearby county executive, Joe DiVincenzo, who's a quarterback Hall of Famer for the then Jersey City State College football team. Judge Linares, the first Hispanic chief judge in District of Court of New Jersey, who also is a legacy all-time All-American Hall of Famer at NJCU Athletics. Coach Mark Brown and Mark Brown Jr., right, who have led with distinction our men's basketball program for more than half a century. All that work, and how do we honor that with taking away kind of the rigidity of conference alignments and the like? So we've met that moment head on as we approach our centennial. We had recently announced something incredibly historic that brings even more flexibility and more opportunities to the first generation working class student athletes from Hudson County in particular by announcing that we're joining the City University of New York Athletic Conference and what will also be a reimagined, rebranded league, NCAA Division III league with NJCU, this little school across the Hudson, as a founding member of that new conference. So that will put us on the likes of competing with Brooklyn College and Hunter College, Queens College, and showing that Jersey grit across the river in really hard, fast fashion.
Right, that we could compete with them.
Yeah, that we not only compete, that we can outclass, right?
Right.
Like we talk about it, right? Like we're Jersey City's team, and when during playoffs and conference finals and championship journeys, we talk about this and we adopt this kind of mentality that it's Jersey City versus everyone, and we take that attitude to light, and we're really embracing that. That new league, that new conference alignment will begin with the 26-27 academic year, with again a lot of prowess and a lot of grit to be displayed.
Yeah, and the students are so excited about it.
They're ecstatic. Yeah,
the energy at NJCU is so different now, and
Yeah.
I think it's because we're doing something new, right? And they feel a part of it, and they're so excited to make it successful.
And I think this is something we've spoken to, right? We talk about history a lot on our campus, And the last 2.5 years, right, of some of the challenges that NJCU was confronting historically, was a lot of it was revitalized and remedied, because all we had to do is really galvanize that sense of grit and determination and resiliency, radical resiliency, that is so organic in our community. And that's poised us to do a lot of innovative things.
Right. I mean, I think whenever I speak about like the last 2 years, right, I think the biggest thing that we've done is just focus on our students. Like
Right.
it just became student centered, and that was the most important part. So whenever I speak to like various donors or like anyone that I'm speaking to, we came back to our mission, and that's our students. Like helping our students are very different, and we love that. And we're now here, and we're going to cater to all their differences and embrace it. And our mission is now them. Like it's become all about the student and their success.
I've said this privately, I'll say it publicly. A lot of college presidents fancy their legacies around what they build, and I wanted mine to be on who I built up, right? And to me, it's like that sense of community is something that 2.5 years ago, unapologetically, and I know I'm biased, right? Very few people were talking about who we serve,
Exactly.
right? Now, everyone knows who NJCU serves. 70+% of our undergraduates come from Hudson County. The overwhelming majority of our alumni live within a 50-mile radius of our campus. So we're an economic engine in our community, and that's what's driven so many of our partnerships, whether it's how we launched my presidency by signing a memorandum of understanding with the Hudson County Building and Construction Trades, recognizing that higher education is incredibly important, but in Hudson County, we don't have patience for snobbery, right? So we understand that success finds different modes of opportunity. And so how do we leverage those relationships with the trades, particularly in the construction fields, for folks that might want to be small business owners, might want to, but what's the value of them also then having a business administration degree, right? Like you want to be an electrician, an engineer, a plumber, great. Here's a degree that lets you become a bona fide business owner, so that you're not in your late 70s stooping over, right? But you've got people working for you, right? Like, and how you create legacy and you build enterprise. That's what we're meeting. And then the other thing that we've also done is like the curricular reforms on our campus. Again, we talked about our transfer friendliness, but that doesn't happen overnight. That's not just because we sit down with community college and say, we're going to accept all your credits. You have to do the hard work, very difficult work that most institutions of higher education have not done in New Jersey. So we've evolved and reformed our general education curriculum to become the most transfer friendly by aligning it more so with those introductory level courses at the community colleges. So what does that do? It's that just opens distinctive pathways so that you can reward our population that we're, again, privileged to serve based on their lived and professional experiences. So at New Jersey City University, you get to come in, whether you're transferring or you're a first-time college student, and have a portfolio of lived and professional experiences examined, right? If you were a math teacher in Ecuador, you should be able to be a math teacher in the United States, right? So how do we streamline that? You were an accountant in Peru, you can be an accountant in the United States, right? You've been working, managing a small business with a high school diploma, and now the economy's in flux and there's changes, and you want to pursue different opportunities. Well, we're going to reward you for that managerial experience, because the best teacher, again, no shade to our faculty and their PhDs, but the best teacher in life is life.
Right.
And so we found a way to use higher education to really leverage that.
And I think we can't also miss talking about career readiness, right?
For
Like,
sure.
I think we're doing such a good job at also setting up our students for greatness. And how do we get them in their senior year in internships and, already on their way into their career in a professional setting too.
For sure. Let's take another commercial break and we'll continue that conversation.
Panepinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panepintodevelopment.com. Panepinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Good Friend Self Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate controlled facility equipped with state of the art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201 867 2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self Storage. Let us be your good friend.
And we're back on GGR with NJCU Radio. I'm Andy Acebo, the interim president at New Jersey University, and with my co-host, Dr. Cynthia Diaz. So Cynthia, right before the commercial break, we were again talking about career readiness, right? And what we really pour ourselves. Again, our students are coming onto our campus. Yes, there's an element of the promise of higher education, which is critical thinking and exposure. But let's keep it real. You're seeking a degree, that piece of paper, that papelito that my mom talked about,
Right.
that is a passport to economic mobility, of careers that create financial promise and opportunities that are too often not afforded to members of our community, of that stabilizing force that higher education can bring. So why don't we talk about some of the partnerships that, again, being spearheaded in large part because of the philanthropy that you've helped secure from members of our foundation.
Right. Yeah. So for me, it's like making it, right. Like you met that American dream, right? That's the whole purpose. For my parents, it's always been the purpose of like, how can you make more than me? How can you have a better life? Like, how can you have what I didn't have? So I think we're applying that through the foundation. Like, we're doing a lot of partnerships. So shout out to Ed O'Connor. Love him.
Let's do it.
He's
yeah.
one of our board members. He's amazing. He actually started one of our programs. It's called SIE program. So it's a Security Essentials exam. And what we do is we actually pay for the students to take the exam. We pay for their study resources. We do all of it. And we even have sessions where they could go and practice and, review sessions before they take the exam. And what's really cool about this program is that if they pass that exam, Ed O'Connor guarantees them a interview with Morgan Stanley. And Morgan Stanley has a VEA program that's like a mentorship program. And if you pass the SAE, you could get into that program. And it's a 2-year program commitment to Morgan Stanley. But then through your 2 years, you're taking more exams to just uplift you even more.
Sure.
So then you could find that job, that
Yeah.
next opportunity. And we're providing this for free for our students because it's important. And Ed says it perfectly. We need our students at the table. And it's not so easy. And how can we provide those opportunities to put them at the table? And he always jokes and says, not everyone at the table could look like me. Like we're diverse. Like, this is the United States. We need you on the table.
Yeah.
And our students have it. They're
Yeah.
smart. They're amazing. And let's give them that opportunity.
Amen. And I think that commitment extends across disciplines on our campus. Another area of distinction, I think, for us is, and it's timely, given both nursing and teaching shortages across the country and in our state, is that we've doubled down pathways to those noble professions, while recognizing that it's an undertaking to pursue them, right? Because they might not be the type of jobs that early career pay a lot. Longevity and over time it does, right? And they're indispensable, and we need to recruit incredible talent into those professions because they're so vital and indispensable and critical. So one key area that we've evolved in, right, is with our TIP program, our teacher internship program. So don't get it confused with student teaching. Most institutions offer that, right? And that's a requirement for clinical site assignments in order to earn your degree in education. But where we are at NJCU is that we recognize that we want to grow our own, right? So we've partnered with Jersey City Public Schools and Bayonne Public Schools, Union City Public Schools, and the like. And students that are coming from those school districts that find their way onto our campus and wanting to be future teachers, well, as early as your sophomore year, we're putting you in a classroom, right? You're shadowing teachers. And here's what's better, right? Because I'm not a fan of unpaid internships,
Exactly.
right? Like, so
Yes.
what we do is that we cut deals with all these districts where students in real time are earning salaries, right? So we're paying them $25 an hour for up to 20, 30 hours a week to shadow and teach as a 19-year-old, right? With creating pathways, knowing that, hey, now you're ingraining yourself in a school system. A prospective employer is getting to know you, has a vested interest in your professional development. And so when you graduate from NJCU, you're not just graduating with a degree, you're graduating with a job in hand. And that's something that most institutions can't promise you, and that's how we're leveraging our population.
Yeah, and we're also making sure that we're even just fundraising for if the internship doesn't pay them, right?
Correct.
At least NJCU could pay them, right? Like even if it's a stipend, just because a lot of when I did a program, I couldn't do the clinical hours because I worked full time, right? And I had to work from 8 to 4 for free, and I
Right.
couldn't do that. Like I
Right.
had a rent to pay, right? I had bills to pay.
That's a luxury.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
luxury. But now, like, we're putting that focus and building a fund just for internships, right? So we could provide that small stipend that will help that student be able to continue. Because unfortunately, some students have to stop because they can't do that free hours, right? And sometimes it's a lot of hours that they have to commit to in their clinicals or like the student teaching.
Sure.
So we are working with the College of Ed, and we're trying to get more funding to do that, to be able to provide these teachers with the stipend so that they can do their student teaching and then move on and graduate and become teachers in our local community.
I love that. Since we're talking about the College of Education, we can't talk about NJCU without talking the A. Harry Moore Laboratory School, an institution, a staple of our community, over 100 years old. Fun fact, the A. Harry Moore School, named after the last governor from Hudson County, right? And I know there's a few folks vying for that distinction, but so that's the beauty of how centered we are and anchored in our community, that we get to boast that. So A. Harry Moore School, over 100 years ago, launched to serve members of our community, young children that were suffering from polio. There's actually photographs, because we just celebrated their centennial about 2 years ago, of then President Franklin Roosevelt on the west side of Jersey City, right, before it was Kennedy Boulevard, right, at A. Harry Moore School, and cutting the ribbon for its grand opening. And then what have we done, right? And, because the past doesn't always have to be prologue, recognizing that community was particularly important for me. So what did we do? We knew that was a program and a staple of the community that has been under duress and distress for many years. A few years back, there was even some controversy, surprise, surprise, right, about wanting to close it. And I made a commitment early on that not on my watch. And not only did we persevere in enhancing it, working with a remarkable educator and team in Dr. Norma Fernandez at the Jersey City Public Schools, we've actually grown that program. So this past fall, not only did we enhance the program, so enrollment is up, right, from across the county, because there is no other alternative to what A. Harry Moore provides in the county of Hudson. I want to make that very clear. Some other programs like the Morris Union Jointure Commission on Special Education, they have similar programs, but at a county-wide level, A. Harry Moore is your best option, and it's offering everything from occupational therapy to physical therapy. You have students with neurological disorders and impairments to physical disabilities that could be life-altering for them and their families.
But we can't forget about the LIFT program,
Right.
and all the exciting things they're doing in Gross-Nickel.
And I wanted to speak to that. So recognizing that promise, we said, all right, what happens when this child ages out of the state system and the state program? Well, there's something NJCU could do about it, particularly when the A. Harry Moore School belongs and is part and parcel of our College of Education. So this past fall, we launched the LIFT program that takes this population that is aging out, and so much so about fully integrating them, it's anchored right on our physical campus. You don't have to cross Kennedy Boulevard. It's right on our college campus, abutting Hepburn Hall, where my office is located, and the library system. And we offer pathways for career readiness, workforce development for these young people, including some who actually, we will be welcoming one of our first A. Harry Moore alums as an incoming freshman this fall, who wants to pursue a degree in counseling education, right? So because we exist, her potential doesn't get left untapped, right? And those are the exciting things that we're doing at NJCU. So much more to do, so much more to talk about as we round out the show. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its 2 newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
And we're back. I'm Andy Acebo, the interim president of New Jersey State University, and I've got my co-host here, Dr. Cynthia Diaz, a double alum of NJCU that, as she so eloquently puts it, a lifer at NJCU.
A lifer, for sure.
So why don't we were talking about the A. Harry Moore program and how we've expanded it and the community services, and working with the foundation and with your leadership, Cynthia, we've also expanded the resources on that workforce development. Why don't you speak to that?
Yeah, so one of our projects right now, which we're really excited about, is creating an NJCU market. So it's part of NJCU and also incorporates A. Harry Moore students. So it's going to be a food pantry, grocery store. So the students from A. Harry Moore could work there. So they'll get real experiences as a cashier, as putting, stocking the shelves, all that. So we're gonna actually bring all that equipment there and run it like an actual market, so they could have all these experiences and abilities, right? And then we're also gonna have the cost of food be very low because we want to help our community. So it's gonna help.
It's gonna be tariff free, right?
Yes. And we're also going to open it to Jersey City, to everyone in our community. So it's not just for our students. And because it's in Gross-Nickel, it's facing Kennedy, John F. Kennedy Boulevard. So we want to make sure that the community knows that they could come in there if they're in need and they're facing food insecurity. So I think it's going to be a great initiative. Again, double wins, right? We're helping our students at A. Harry Moore. We're also providing, a food pantry, a food market for our students and the surrounding community who needs it.
And so much of that is not just because of the pioneering vision of folks like our CFO, Brian Kirkpatrick, and Dr. Cynthia Diaz, but also the generosity of not just community-owned businesses in Jersey City and in Hudson County, but our alums, right? Our dedicated alumni who are incredibly engaged and wanting to add value and give back and lift up. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Because that's part of your portfolio, right? Alumni relations, and I can't think better someone to lead that than a double alum, right? To see yourself reflected kind of in the community and in a position of leadership. You've worked really tirelessly over the last 2 years about re-engaging, right? About that, your commitment and your ties to this institution don't end after 4, 5, 6 years, right? Or graduate education. This is a lifelong connection to place.
Yeah. So I will actually share a quick story. So commencement's coming up, right?
Yeah.
And
1,200 students.
1,200 students graduating, but we also have 3 alums who graduated 50 years ago that are coming and joining us.
Gothic Knights.
And I spoke Golden Gothics, yeah. So I spoke to them and they're so excited. They want to come back and they're just excited to meet the students and also be able to share their story. So just running alumni relations, and because I am a double alum, I resonate with them, right? And the stories we hear are so powerful. Yeah. And there's so many different stories out there. And I'm a big believer that storytelling, that's how you connect, right? That's Absolutely. You connect with people, like humans. And we're trying to revitalize that. And we've been doing pretty good. So we had an event in April. We had it in Hoboken at Louis and Jerry. So shout out to Anthony Romano. He gave us this space.
The chairman.
Yeah. And actually 62 alumni showed up. Beautiful. So it was amazing to just be in the same space, and it was all different ages, right? So everyone had a story, and it was all related to NJCU. As different as it was, we were all one, right? Because we all came from NJCU. We all had our education there. We all had funny stories there. So it was just great to be in that connection, and we're gonna build on that. So we want to keep having more events. We're actually in the works of possibly doing an axe throwing event, which would be kind of fun. For our alumni, and also just having networking events and, happy hours, and just come back to campus too. It looks very different now. If you haven't been around, you should definitely come and take a tour with us. It's very different.
Yeah, we've put a lot of heart and love into really polishing up the place, right? So that it's worthy of the community that serves it. There's a physical transformation also happening on our campus. And a lot of that is only possible, right? Because of the generosity of our alums and our community members. And so why don't we speak a little bit as we close out the show about what's on the horizon, right? So working with the foundation. We're poised in 2027 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of New Jersey City University. So 100 years, right? 100,000 plus members of our community that have crisscrossed it in one way or another. That's impact.
And like you
Measurable
said, the
impact.
generosity, right? So we want to make sure that we're celebrating that generosity. So for the Centennial campaign that we're doing, like we want to find those alums that have been giving every year for like 20, 30, 50 years, because they believe in our institution. They believe in our students and they want to give them. So we want to bring them back on campus and have them meet their student recipients if they were giving scholarships, right? And like have them not just be on campus to see how it is, but like meet the generation now and see the impact that they've had on the lives of these students, because a lot of them wouldn't have been able to graduate or actually attend NJCU if it wasn't for their generosity.
And I want to speak to that, right? Because this is probably somewhat uncouth, but I'm Hudson County. I'll chase down that $1 million donor every day, right? But what sustains our promise is that person that loves this community so much and give the only thing they can give, right? So that repeat donor, that we have a lot of them, right? We have decades of folks donating $100 a year, right? And that $100 a year turns into an endowed scholarship after a certain period of time, right? So and each and every single person that donates something to NJCU will receive immediate contact from us.
Yes,
right?
We actually have students who would call and we do thank you notes. And we also like to do videos, right? Because I think we want to show the impact because it is making a huge difference. And I see it every day. So like the work I do, I love working in the foundation because I see how much it changes someone's life. Like we have students who come to me in tears, right? Because they really need the help. And then sharing that with the donor that, you know, they feel good about it, but also like they're giving back and they could see it. So those little donors, we want to say little, but it's not little. They're making such a big difference.
It's dramatic.
And I tell them, I'm like, you know, you don't have to give. The fact that you want to give, like that's important. And it doesn't matter the amount. You're making a big difference.
Yeah, for this year, we're trying to establish a new tradition that has faltered over the years. But, you know, a class gift, right? Our incoming, pending graduates, right? Donate $20.25 in honor of your graduating year, right? And you're going to leave behind, like if every single graduate donates that, you're going to leave behind an endowed scholarship, like in a legacy that you're paying it forward. And that's ultimately what we want to do, right? Like our motto, our institutional motto for over 100 years has been enter to learn, exit to serve. And what strikes me day in and day out about our community is that people don't only come ready and willing to learn, they come already willing and ready to serve, right? They're not waiting to serve, right? There's a tendency in our community, and, you know, like I'm going to showcase my age here, right, and some of the strife with it. It's like we're told to wait our turn, right? And what's so remarkable about NJCU and Hudson County and our community is that we call BS on that, right? Like you're not telling me to wait when I'm ready. And so that makes a difference in our community.
So this morning we actually did the video for the commencement 25 for the class of 25, and the student said, "Sin, I'm honored to do this video because I wouldn't be here if I didn't get scholarships from your office. Like I literally would not be standing here." And it was touching because she lived it, right? And she was able to communicate that. So we want to make sure that, you know, we're sharing those stories and also like how important it is to give back and the generosity to allow those behind us to also come up.
Yeah, and I think the way we frame it, right, it's not just charity, it's investment, right? And what the promise of those that, whether it's elected officials working tirelessly over the coming weeks on the budget, don't forget about NJCU, right, in that work, because you're investing in our community by investing in NJCU. One student, one family, one neighborhood, one city, right, at a time. And our future beyond this second century is going to be remarkable. More to cover in future installments of this program, but it was an absolute joy to kick this off with you, Dr. Cynthia Diaz, to talk about our community, our shared values, and our vision for this community. And hopefully the listeners got a feel about that we're leading with heart, right? And that what the difference makes when you empower the very community to serve and lead itself. Thank you, and be well, everyone.